Now let's talk about Next.js pre-rendering. So what is pre-rendering? Next.js pre-render every page. This means that Next.js generate HTML for each page in advance, instead of having all done by client-side JavaScript. Pre-rendering can result in better performance and SEO. Each generated HTML is associated with minimal JavaScript code necessary for that page. When the page is loaded by the browser, JavaScript code runs and make the page fully interactive. Next.js has two forms of pre-rendering: static generation and server-side rendering. The difference is in when it generates the HTML for a page. So let's understand static generation. Static generation is the pre-rendering method that generates the HTML at build time. The pre-rendering HTML is then reused on each request. So in pre-rendering, you first build the app for production, generate all the HTML, and then reuse for each request. Once the HTML is rendered, JS will be loaded. On the other hand, we have server-side rendering. Server-side rendering is the pre-rendering method that generates the HTML on each request. So when you make the request, your request is handed over to the Next.js, and then Next.js generate the HTML for the user and then serve that HTML to the requested user. The same process will happen over and over again on every request. But why pre-rendering is important and used in Next.js app? If you build a React application before, then you had noticed that the React is loaded once the JavaScript is completely loaded in the browser. And if you have a big JavaScript bundle, then it takes time to load a component. It's first going to load all the JavaScript in the browser and then display your component. Pre-rendering solves that problem. It renders a component and HTML first and then load the JavaScript. Your component is interactive only when the JavaScript is completely loaded. Importantly, Next.js lets you choose which pre-rendering form to use for each page. You can create an hybrid Next.js app by using static generation for most pages and using server-side rendering for other pages. So what do you think? Which one to choose? Next.js recommend using static generation whenever possible, because your page can be built once and served by CDN, which makes it much faster than having a server render the page on every request. If you want to make a marketing website, blog post, e-commerce product listing, you can use static generation. And on the other hand, and if your page displays frequently updated data and the page content changes on every request, you can use server-side rendering. It will be slower, but pre-render page will always be up to date. Now, once you understand the basics of pre-rendering, let's take a look at a difference between static and server-generated pages.